Hi, I'm Joni Rodgers, and here's my review of Casual Vacancy, J.K. Rowling. Big anticipated title. I grabbed it on my Kindle the second it came out and just sucked it in because I thought it was great. I really liked it. I know a lot of people are hating on it, but I liked it a lot. And maybe it's partly because I have not read the Harry Potter books. I know I'm the last person on the planet, but my kids were the right age when they came out. They read them for themselves, and I just never got around to it. I keep meaning to. But I was able to read this book totally on its own merits, and I'm really happy that I did because I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it's funny. Of course, it's incredibly well written because this is a master craftsperson, J.K. Rowling, at work here, and that is just a pleasure to read. It kind of reminded me of the Map and Lucia books, if you've read those, because of the dry British wit, or those Britcoms on PBS, same kind of humor, and I love that. There are so many great little funny bits in it, like where she's listening to her husband talk about the death of this councilman and how they rode with him in the ambulance and how awful it was, and she's thinking, well, that's your payback for this terrible experience, is that you get to talk about it later. And that's so true, isn't it? That's the kind of observation that is throughout this book, these really wry, very astute observations about human nature, the power of gossip, the true nature of charity. Do you really want to help these poor people in the fields, or do you just kind of want them to disappear? And how we sort of decide who's deserving of our compassion. I think there are some really profound observations about that. So I think the book has a lot of depth in that way. I think that you will not like this book if you object to very gritty, real subject matter. There's graphic descriptions of the heroin use. There's some sexual content. I didn't think it was all that much, but some people are like, oh my gosh, the sex is, but whatever. If you're oversensitive about hypocrisy, I think that's the problem for some people, just saying. If you're expecting some kind of adult version of Harry Potter, this ain't it, from what I've heard. I think you will like this book if you enjoyed a really sharp satire like Absurdistan, or if you loved Gulliver's Travels within the historical context, the kind of humor that's in that. It really reminded me of another book that I loved, Something Happened by Joseph Heller. And I'm not going to tell you too much of why it reminded me of that book because I don't want to do a spoiler, but wow, there's the same kind of really powerful ending, at least for my taste. I thought she delivered the goods at the end of the book, for sure. So I'm going to say I gave this book an 89% because I did feel like it was longer than it needed to be, and I wish that maybe that's another byproduct of being J.K. Rowling, the J.K. Rowling of it all. I don't know that the editor felt free to step in and say, okay, you're gassing on a little bit too long about a few things. So in that, it was a bulky read, and for my taste, it could have been, there could have been some brevity in the soul of wit there. But overall, yeah, I really loved this book. I thought it was terrific, and I hope you'll give it a read with an open mind.